Hello? Oh, there it. Oh, oh. I will start again. Om Shanti. Glad to see everyone here. Welcome to Global Harmony House. And Zoomers, welcome as well. But I'm very delighted to see you. We have a nice, lovely group tonight. And my name is Michelle, and I am the co-MC with Louise. It's my privilege to do this with her on Thursday evenings, and I know tonight is going to be a special night as well. I think all the Thursday nights are very special. It's a very, how can I say, esteemed and auspicious place, and I feel the energy as soon as I walk in. And it's funny, I'm always racing to get here because I'm coming from the city. I work in Manhattan, and I'm always, it's actually become fun for me to figure out whether I'm going to make it or not. And I know I could maybe feel, Louise, is she going to make it? But I do, because the intention is there to be here. And it always, I could be hungry, I could be tired, it doesn't matter. When I walk through the door, everything that's unimportant, like my hunger pains or my being tired, goes away. But that's not what I was going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about this month. It's September. Welcome, September. You know how I felt about summer. If you've been here before, how many of you is your first time here? Okay, welcome. So those of you that have seen Louise and I, we have a kind of a banter. My thing is about the change in seasons. I love summer. I'm a summer baby, was born in this life in summer. And I love, and you'll join me, we're going to look outside and see what it's going to be like outside. It's light out, but maybe when we end, it'll be dark, right? I talk about that too, but that's exciting. So tonight, what does that have to do with we're talking about this month? Not much, but everything has to do with everything. It's all interconnected. But tonight, this month, we're going to talk about, last month we talked about remembrance. This month, we're going to talk about what do we do with that remembrance? We're going to be talking about soul power. And soul power is not just something you'd watch. I used to watch Soul Train. I don't remember Soul Train. And by the way, shout out to my brother for a wonderful song. And we're going to talk a little bit about songs too and how music can lift you up. And that song that you just heard, the first time I heard it, I had to pull over to the side with my car and stop the car because I was weeping. The music and the words hit me so. It was a very difficult time in my life, and I've talked about it before. I'm not going to go into it. Very challenging spiritually and otherwise. And that song was an answer to my heart. It wasn't it wasn't even the music, but the experience of hearing that song at the moment I needed it was amazing. And ironically, and I thank you, Brother Eric, because when I walked in and I heard that song and I was talking about running here, I was in the right place. And that's the power we're going to talk about, soul power. So human beings, and I'm going to read this because it's great, human beings are created in the image of God, endowed with eternal, immortal spiritual powers. And we're going to, well, not me, but our speaker tonight, our host is going to speak about that. But I want to talk just 1 second. Can I have 1 minute? Because I was thinking about this, because it's always challenging. I want you to know we don't just wing it up here. Well, sometimes we do, but we try not to. Louise and I really think about the topics. So we sound, well, I want to talk for me, reasonably intelligent. But when I think about this, and this is a very important subject, the image of God. We are created in the image of God. And you know this from Judeo-Christian, it's in the scriptures. What does that mean? Well, I find that we as human beings have the tendency to, and I'm not sure, I had to write it down because I know the word, but and Louise is an English teacher, she'll know, anthropomorphize everything. And we put our human characteristics on God. We'll say, you know, I remember when I was a kid, didn't you think God had gray hair, long flowing beard, sat on a cloud? That is us ascribing human qualities to God. Well, we're going to talk about something different, something more important, something real. That is ascribing God's qualities and powers to us. In other words, not the physical, because God is not physical. It is spirit. And we're going to talk about the spirit in the physical world, because we are, if you knew the song, another favorite song of mine, spirits in the physical world. This is a physical world, but we truly are spirits. We are souls. We happen to be in a body right now, but the longer I'm at this, the more I know, not even believe anymore, know that I am truly a spirit, a power. And that power, the point is, I'm from Brooklyn. I don't really need this. The point is, why do we need to be like God? Why? I think it is for forging a relationship, a union, a bond with God. God will, he knows the physical world, but he doesn't understand, he doesn't need to understand it. He is spirit. And for us to understand God and to merge with that, we must recognize the spirit in us. And when we do, and sometimes I do, I realize I'm a spirit, not all the time, not all the time today, because I was thrust in the world. But when I have that image of God, the spirit, the powers that he gave me, love, kindness, compassion, I can have a deeper relationship with God. And that to me is what it's all about. And tonight, you're going to have someone much smarter than me who is actually, in her worldly way, ready for this discussion. Who better than a scientist who walks and studies in the material world? She is a scientist, and this is Sister Tina. I don't know if you've met Sister Tina. If you've been here before, you haven't, but others have. And I'm struggling now, I'm sorry to say it. And I don't even have your bio. I have it over there because I ran in. Sister Tina studies plant biology for a couple of decades. So she understands the material world, but more important, she is able to forge that understanding of the spiritual world with the physical world. And that truly is, to me, an enlightened place to be. And with that, I am going to call, and she has, by the way, she is a fixture, if you will, gratefully, at Global Harmony House. And she loves to do retreats and give sessions, and you're really in for a treat tonight. So with that, thank you, Sister Tina, for coming up.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Om Shanti, which is greetings of peace. And yes, thank you, Brother Eric. He's our sound room expert. Every time he plays the best commentary that you feel is perfect for the session. And the song, of course, like Michelle said, takes us really into that high self-respect of who I am. And what I was thinking, before coming, when I was thinking about this topic, which I just started 2, 3 days back. And initially, I thought that it's an interesting topic because there's so many areas within the topic to talk about. And I couldn't really put my finger on, okay, this is the aspect that I'm going to touch upon when I cover this topic of soul power and the inner strength. And then, interestingly, every time I would sit in meditation, I would feel that inner strength. I have to feel that soul power emerging. And I realized that maybe I don't have to really go into too much of knowledge aspect of it, but really the experience of it. And then you would argue, perhaps, Sister Tina, of course, if you sit in meditation, it is easy to experience peace and calmness and power, right? But what about when you are, living life, when situations are not as per your way, when people are not as per your way, when things are not going as you would like them to go, when environment is not as per your way, right? Traffic is not as per your way. And forget about the external, but your own mind, your own thoughts, your own actions are sometimes not as per your way. So then in that situation, how do we really tap into that soul power, that inner strength that is actually intrinsic, right? It is very much within me and yet remains inaccessible, right? So how do I do that? How do I get to that place where I'm able to actually bring the soul power into a very practical form, right? Into my practical daily life. And sometimes I feel that the purpose of meditation is not that you sit in meditation for 15 minutes and feel peaceful for 15 minutes. No. The purpose of meditation is much deeper, that when you sit for those 15 minutes, you actually are able to tap into that inner strength that you're able to then carry with you, which is like your capacity to respond to the external environment, no matter what the circumstances are in which you are, right? That is what meditation should look like, right? And so then I was thinking, but yeah, like Michelle said, I'm now residing here at the center. I don't work any longer, but I understand, and I really understand that some of you have a very, very active family life and very active work life where you're constantly trying to meet the needs, you're constantly trying to meet the deadlines, you're constantly trying to keep the family together, you're constantly trying to take the public transport, or you're sometimes stuck in the traffic jam and you're just having some energy now to take care of the kids. And then at the end of the day, maybe you will do some grocery, and then you will prepare some meal, and then you will clean up and perhaps prepare for the next day. And then we go on and on and on and on and on, right? This is the lifestyle of doing, 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 right? All day long, every day. And this lifestyle, what it has done, our mind is the biggest victim of this lifestyle. Our mind is tired. Our mind is stressed. Our mind is exhausted. Our mind is overworked. Our mind feels enough. It's constantly running, right? Think. Your mind is not in one place, able to not stay in one place. One moment here, next moment there, next moment there, and then I don't know where. So your mind is constantly on the run. Hmm? So we understand this now, that how important it is to take care of our body physically, right? All of us acknowledge that part, that we have to take care of our body. But similarly, I feel by the end of this session, you will also be able to appreciate and acknowledge that it is equally important to take care of the mind. The inner well being is very, very important, right? And in that, mind plays an important role. Now, when you think of the inner power or the inner strength that we're talking about, the soul power, soul, all of you understand what is soul? Yes? Yeah? You understand soul? Soul is nothing but the hmm, eternal energy that we are. It's the conscious, living, sentient energy, right? The life force within us, the energy within us. And power in this context is the spiritual power, the intrinsic power. We are not talking so much about the power struggle that we see in the outer world, but more about the internal power. Now, having defined that term, if I want to tap into this inner strength, the first thing, the first power of the inner self is the mind, which you can call as awareness or the state of my mind. If I'm able to take care of the state of my mind, then it's like I'm making my mind elevated. I'm making my mind very powerful. I'm making my mind my inner resource. But how do I do that? And for that, we say that according to the understanding and teachings of the Brahma Kumaris and the Raj Yoga meditation that we study here, the knowledge that is given in this place, the study that we study is the biggest resource to make my mind powerful. Because my the knowledge that is given is nothing but understanding of who I am, what I am, my understanding of my own self. Knowledge ultimately is just thoughts, nothing else, just thoughts and ideas with which you experiment. But it's not ordinary thoughts, it's not just any thought. Hmm? The knowledge, the study constitutes of very, very powerful thoughts that allows my mind to awaken. Something is ignited inside, something is shifted inside. My consciousness awakens, my state of being enlightens suddenly, right? So, knowledge nurtures the mind, and the quality of the mind becomes elevated. So, you can see knowledge as the food for the soul or food for the mind. Mind is intrinsic faculty of the soul. So, if knowledge is food for the soul, then how important it is to actually take this knowledge, right? These days, this whole topic of, I don't know how many of you watch news and conferences and things like that, but this whole thing of you are what you eat. You have heard this term? You are what you eat. Hmm? Tell me what is on your plate, and I will tell you who you are. This is what science is saying. This is what is the famous topic in the conferences. But similarly, you can say, tell me what you're thinking, and I will tell who you are. Hmm, I can tell you what quality of soul you are based on your thoughts, right? So, knowledge, the study that we study, helps me to redefine who I am, what I am, not based on what people have told me, not based on what society has decided my purpose should be in life. But knowledge tells me, it redefines my purpose, it redefines my way of living, it redefines how I see myself, you know? So, knowledge nurtures this inner strength, which is the mind, which is the thoughts, which is the awareness that I have of myself, right? So, when I'm able to take care of that, then we say that the second power, the second inner strength of the soul is the intellect, or sometimes also referred to as the will. And the quality of the intellect will decide my will to be who I want to be as a person, right? It's the quality of my intellect that helps me to discern and decide and make this will for myself that this is who I want to be. This is how I want to live my life. These are the values I should have in my life. And that will automatically colors my personality. How I want to be, what I want to be, it automatically then becomes my personality. So, increasing the power of intellect, how do I do that? And so, as per my understanding, and again, the teachings here, we understand that yoga that we do is the biggest or huge resource to actually help me to tap into those deep inner values that I have. Yoga helps me to fulfill that will, that this is how I want to live. I want to be peaceful. I want to be loving. I want to be caring. I want to be sweet. I want to be happy. How do I do that? Yoga helps me to tap into that deep core of my being, which is filled with values. Values is virtues or the qualities that are universal in nature, that are intrinsic, that are eternal, always present within the soul. I don't have to search outside. Isn't that a good news? Hmm? I don't have to go outside to find peace. I don't have to look at this person to give me love. It's all inside. But how do I increase this? Hmm? That's an interesting question, right? So yoga helps me to tap into that. And of course, it's not that I did not know about these qualities. But because we said, because of the lack of mental energy and the intellect's energy or the decision making power, we are not able to access these values that are already within us. So, how do I access them? So, yoga helps me. From childhood, we have been told, no, that you should be respectful, you must be very honest, you have to be compassionate, you should be very kind. But it was always coming from the outside. Always should, have to, must, right? It was never coming from inside. But when I start to meditate, when I start to have yoga, when I start to connect with the one who is always full of that goodness, then suddenly what happens? My consciousness rises. The frequency with which I am seeing myself, my energy rises. And because the consciousness or the awareness, you can call it, the awareness rises, so automatically the inner values begin to match that frequency. Because I start to say to myself now, oh, I am a divine being. I am this light being of peace, right? Now, if I say this is who I am, then naturally what happens? Peace begins to emerge. If I say I am an image made in God's form, or I am loving, He's ocean of love, and I am very loving, then automatically love begins to emerge. So if you raise the bar of your consciousness, your awareness of who you are, automatically the values begin to match. You're able to do it. And so, you start observing, like if you talk to me like how I was 25 years ago and what I am today, it's completely different, right? Some of you are practicing meditation, and you would know before you were practicing meditation and after you're practicing meditation. Isn't there a difference? Right? There is, no? How that happened is because your consciousness raised, so automatically values begin to match. It's like, you have a plant and you water the plant, and the plant will grow automatically, no? You don't have to say, oh, please grow, please blossom, please grow. No, you don't have to do. As long as there is good soil and sunlight, the plant will grow naturally, automatically. It will blossom because that is the nature of the plant, to grow. So when I have elevated mind or elevated thoughts, or you can call it elevated awareness, I'm using these as interchangeable terms. So if you have elevated thoughts, which is like elevated mind, and if you have elevated intellect, which is like elevated will to be who you want to be, then automatically the values begin to grow. You don't have to tell. I have to be loving. I should be loving. You begin to observe that I've started to be very loving without trying to be loving. You begin to see yourself and you say, oh, I'm becoming so much more less reactive without somebody telling me to be. less reactive. You begin to observe that I am seeing myself becoming more patient. Again, without trying to be patient. Right? I'm becoming so much more compassionate. I'm becoming so much more kind. Nobody's telling me to become or do that, but it is happening automatically. And that is the beauty of yoga, because yoga brings that inner transformation. Where my consciousness raises, automatically the values also raise or increase. Yeah. Yeah, you all know, no, by now. Here we do Raj Yoga meditation. Yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj. Yuj means link, connection, union. So it can be a union with the self, it can be union with the source energy, or it can be union with the outside world. The moment you're remembering somebody, it's like you're in connection with that person subtly, right? So you're thinking of that person, and they'll say, "Oh, I was also thinking about you." So that is yoga. So if I'm thinking of God, then I'm in yoga with God. If I'm thinking about a human being, then I'm in yoga with that human being. If I'm thinking of food, then I'm in yoga with food, right? But the best link, best connection is with the one who is the source of the goodness. So I will be able to become like that. Mhm. Yeah, does that help? So that is the yoga that we do. We connect ourselves with our own selves. Who am I? I begin to understand what is my purpose? What am I doing here? Why have I come here? Where I have to go after this? We begin to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, our part that we are playing on this realm. And then, of course, yoga with God. That helps us to also emerge our own goodness that is intrinsic to us. So, suddenly, what happens with the practice of yoga? These values become accessible. They're already there, but now they're very easy to experience. Yeah, that's the second power. The power of decision making and using these values, emerging these values through the power of yoga. So I will be able to emerge these values naturally, automatically, as long as I am nurtured with yoga power. Hmm? Because world knows, no, that we should be honest, we should be loving, we should be sweet, we should be happy, but they're not able to. Why? Because they're not nurtured with the yoga power. It's like the plant can grow, but if you don't give it water, if you don't give it proper sunlight, it will wilt, no? So the energy of the consciousness also wilts. Even though it has the potential to blossom, it will not blossom if there is no yoga power. So that's why the second power or inner strength is increasing the quality of the intellect. That intellect can make right decisions, intellect can have right will to do right things. And of course, then the third power of the soul, the inner strength we call, is the sanskars or the personality traits, right? But it's a natural byproduct of the quality of your mind and intellect. And you can say that if I have very elevated thoughts, right, which is elevated mind, and if I have very elevated decision making power, which is elevated intellect, then wouldn't naturally my actions be elevated? And so my sanskars will be elevated. And yes, of course, that is true. But it still needs a little bit of practice on the practical realm. Because what is happening in your mind and your intellect is internal, it's incognito, only you know about it. You know you're having good thoughts, or you know you're having bad thoughts. or you know you're having good decisions. But now when it comes to perform that action, then that value has to be my power. The value cannot remain just a value or a virtue. There's a difference between virtue and power, right? The virtue has to become a power. Peace can be a virtue, but peace can also be a power. So now, peace, if I have as a virtue, as a value, it has to become power, which means the ability to respond, right, becomes my strength to maintain who I am and what I want to be, regardless of the external situations in which I am. Did you get that? Ability to respond strengthens and helps me to maintain who I am and who I want to be, regardless of the external situation. So external situation can come to break my peace, can come to break my compassion, can come to break my love. But if I have love as my power, then what will I do? No matter what, who comes to break it, I will be loving. I will be peaceful. I will be able to maintain that compassion, that kindness. Isn't that powerful? That is what is personality trait. That is what is personality, right? What is personality? Who you are, what you are, what you want to be. I want to be like this, where my value is my power. Yeah, easy. You just have to work on three things now, right? You realize that it's your mind, it's your intellect, and it's your personality traits, your sanskars, your actions, right? And when these three are completely aligned, you will naturally blossom. Nobody can stop you. Nothing can be an obstacle for you. You will be the most beautiful person. You will be able to respond in the most beautiful manner, right? I'll share a story here and then we'll see if you have any questions. It's a story which is called Be Like an Ocean. Some of you might have heard. There was this lady sitting one afternoon at the shores of the ocean. And her husband wanted to be in the water, so he goes a little bit inside to swim. And it's a hot summer day, so being in the water feels very refreshing and cooling. So he's enjoying, and but as he's enjoying, he goes a little bit deeper into the water without realizing that he's not a good swimmer. And so as he goes into the depths of the water, he drowns and he dies. So the lady who's seeing, now she's at the shore, she's helpless, nobody's there to help. And she's very, very annoyed, very angry, very upset. And she writes on the sand of the shore, "The ocean is a murderer. He killed my husband." Now, few meters away from there, there is a fisherman. He has come to trap some fishes. So he throws his net and he gets a fantastic catch that day and lots of fishes. So he's very happy, elated, and in joy, he comes to the shores, and on the sand of the shores, he writes, "The ocean is the sustainer. The ocean is providing me my livelihood." Right? Few meters away, on the same shore, there's a boy who's playing. And then a huge wave comes and takes his shoe and goes away. So now the boy is frustrated. And the boy writes on the sand of the shore, "The ocean is a thief. He took my shoe today." And then few meters away from that shore, on the same shore, there is this old man who's walking peacefully in the water just along the shore, not very deep, just along the shore. And very, very happily he's walking, and he um, suddenly sees an oyster shell, and he picks it up and he gently opens it, and he sees there's a beautiful pearl. Pearl, pearl. So he writes on the ocean, on the sand of the ocean, that the ocean is magnanimous, most amazing, charitable donor. The ocean gave me a pearl today. And then you know what happened? You guess. A huge wave of ocean came and wiped off everything. Everything. So I was thinking, ocean is so powerful, so sensible, so intelligent, right? Whatever people were saying about it, whatever people were writing about it, whatever people were thinking about it, it had nothing to do with the ocean. It had to do with whether their expectations were being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. Whether they were attaining something from the ocean, was there a gain or was there a loss? Based on that, they were having a certain perception of the ocean. But the ocean was not affected by their perception, right? So, how I want to be? Hmm? How I want to be? Like the ocean, no? Now, if I want to be like an ocean, intelligent and powerful, mm, and as deep as ocean, as vast as ocean, as magnanimous as ocean, then what I have to do? I should not think of what people think about me, what people say about me, what people will write about me. Hmm? Right? Because people will say good and people will say bad. Right? That is their duty. That is their part. They have to say something. But it has nothing to do with you. It has to do whether their expectations are being met, being fulfilled, or not being fulfilled. Whether they're receiving something from you or not receiving something from you. But if I am all the time affected and influenced by what others think of me, what others talk about me, what others write about me, I will never be able to experience my own inner strength because my perception is tainted. The way I see myself is tainted. It doesn't help me. So then what happens? I become moody. If you tell good about me, yeah, I'm happy. If you say something bad about me, oh, I don't want to talk to you now. You don't think good about me, right? We become like that, no? There is this brother, brother Charlie. Some of you might know he's one of our senior brothers in the organization. And once he said, right is right, wrong is wrong. Hmm? Huh? One time he mentioned this in his class that I remember that he said, and that's where I have heard from. It must be someplace else, but that's what I have heard from. He said, right is right, wrong is wrong, but I do not want to let it become my feeling. Because if it sits in my feelings, then I will not be able to be who I want to be, who I am originally, right? So I should observe, but not absorb. Okay, I observe your behavior, I observe what you say, but I don't want to take it to my heart. right? Because again, realize this, that the way you think about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, the way you act, if it comes from the space of truth, then that helps. And of course, definitely, genuinely, if somebody is trying to pull your attention to something, then yes, look at it. If they are praising you, then accept it with grace. And if they are saying something negative, then just check and make necessary change if it's coming from a genuine place. But I shouldn't take each one's opinion. I don't have to, right? Otherwise, I'll get tired. Right? If I have to make you happy, then make you happy, then make you happy, then make you happy. How many people? What will happen to me? I will get exhausted. So, who do I make happy? Who do I make happy? Myself and my source, the seed of the tree of humanity. If I nurture the seed, if I nurture the root, the tree will be happy automatically. I don't have to plant each and every leaf on the tree. I don't have to water each and every leaf on the tree, right? I just take care of the seed. So in this case, I just take care of my thoughts, my feelings, my attitude, right? My vision, my decision making, my actions, and everything will fall in place. Yes. Hmm? So hopefully you are able to realize that the inner strength is the strength of our awareness, our thoughts, which we call as the mind's capacity. It comes from our willpower, or our decision making power, which is our intellect. And it comes from our sanskars, which is our personality trait. And if I'm able to elevate these three, my mind, intellect, and sanskars, then automatically my life will blossom. Excuse me. At the heart of the relationships is communication, they say. And at the heart of the communications are the feelings, they say. But at the heart of the feelings are the thoughts. So, really, your mind can become your greatest inner strength. And no matter what the external situation is, inner strength basically is the ability to respond with values backed up with this powerful awareness and powerful intellect, right? Or will to be who I want to be. I want to be this, and I should be able to be that. But how? Based on these three powers. And if I'm able to take, so really, what is my responsibility? My responsibility is to make sure that my inner core, which is my mind, intellect, and sanskars, are elevated, are clean, are pure. Right? Then my outer world is automatically clean and pure and elevated. Hmm? If my inside is like this, it will automatically impact outside. They say, no, if your room is filled with clutter, that means there must be so much clutter here. And if your room is clean, must be clean here also, no? So that is what I feel, that if we take care of our mind, intellect, and sanskars through the knowledge that we study, which is the truth, the thoughts that we understand, the yoga that we do, and the inculcation of the values, that is the greatest service to humanity. To be who you want to be, who you are meant to be. That perfect replica of God, right? You imagine yourself in that state where your mind is always thinking beautiful thoughts, never waste thought. Never negative thought. Your intellect is always making right decision. And your actions, your sanskars are always elevated, beautiful. So this is integration of the inner world and the outer world and the inner strength that the soul has. It's there within us. You don't have to go outside looking for it. Yeah. I will stop there. If there is any questions, I will take. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've benefited so much, truly, so
Thank
much
you.
wisdom, and I love the teaching this evening. If I may, thank you so much.
Yes.
I happen to remember because I was so struck with this particular phrase and teaching. It may not have been from Brother Charlie. It was from a different, very senior, older brother who said the following, because the drama is accurate. And I remember it struck me so. He said, right is right
Mm,
and wrong
mm,
is also right.
Yeah. If
That's
you-
why I
Okay.
reacted.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there are different ways of looking at things. Now, if you're talking about drama, which many of you might not know the concept unless you've been coming here long, the concept of drama has to do with the concept of us being players in this on this world stage and everybody is acting. And just like a movie, once it's recorded, then it becomes fixed, right? And in that movie, now if there is something wrong, then also it's right. It's like that. So it's that thought is coming from that understanding that everything is beneficial. Whatever is happened is good, whatever is happening is good, and whatever will happen will be very good. So, with that understanding of knowledge, then I can say right is right and wrong is also right. But in physical world, if somebody is being rude, it's wrong to be rude. And I understand that it is wrong. But again, I don't have to take it to heart and create a feeling about it and now become rude with that person. Right? Their rudeness does not allow me or gives me permission to become rude. Right? So that's where I was coming from. There are two different ways of looking at these two concepts. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else wants to say?
Ask that you give you the microphone so our Zoomers can hear you. Any questions?
Or comment?
Okay. 1 minute, 1 minute, please. This is how I get my exercise today, so do not deny me. Please. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, I must express my gratitude for your divine presence because it is our presence that makes the difference.
Thank
In a
you.
world that we're seeking success, it is our divine presence, and our disconnection from our soul does not bring any success. As far as we are what we eat, it's truly the churning, the digestion of it. So we must churn and churn and chew and chew and chew. This gentleman from Japan, they asked him, what's your secret to your longevity? And he said that he chews. And so when I think of Daddy Yankee, when I think of Daddy Guzar, it is this churning, this assimilation, this receptivity of the divine energy that we must all focus and assimilate, because that's what truly makes us pure. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Yeah. Listening alone will not benefit you. How many times you come here and listen, but if you don't put it into practice, it's just information. It's not knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge only when it is really put into practice and it brings about some change. Until then, you can have lot of information and nothing changes in your life. Right? So yeah, churning is important.
I thank you so much. I too gained a lot of benefit. I always gain benefit every time I come. And I just want to, one I've learned here with knowledge, with study, with churning is the choice. That is another thing. And it's now I just thought of something else in terms of the image of God, depending on how you look at it. Some traditions believe that what is the image of God? It is free will. It is that decision that you, unlike lower, and you know the word, stratas of beings, even sentient beings, do not have that free will, whereas we do. So now that you're mentioning it, that choice is what separates us, and that choice also gives us the ability to do yoga with God. So again, we have to make that choice that we want to have the knowledge, that we want the yoga, that we want to change our personality, that we want to recognize the peace within inside, because I have to tell you, there are some people who get secondary gains from being angry. I think they actually enjoy. I don't get it. Maybe that was me at one time. You know, they're looking for a fight. I don't get it. It's my prerogative to fight with you. You said something I don't like. What? I may have been like that at some time. I don't remember, thankfully, but that choice when someone comes at me, I don't like you. And I've had it happen. Michelle, I can't explain it. I don't like you. What do I respond? And I've actually churned on that. And even just the churning alone changes the whole, even with that person. So I'm sorry, that free will piece just came rushing to me. That is the choice that we have, that we can choose how we respond and who we not want to be who we are, but it's a choice that we have to make to, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, who I am. I am naturally peaceful. Who likes to be peaceless in this room? Anybody, you wouldn't be sitting here if that would be the case, right? Mm. Well, we are loving beings. Anybody enjoys hatred, hating somebody, disliking somebody? No, no. Hmm? How many of you like to be knowledgeful? We're naturally knowledgeful. Anybody loves to be ignorant person in the room? Like knows nothing. I don't know why I'm here. No, right? Ignorance is not natural. Love is natural. Peace is natural. Joy is natural. Happiness is natural. Knowledge is natural. The inner strength, power is natural. This is natural to us. And so this is who I am. And I want to be like this. But the problem is sometimes the outside world gets at us because my own inner strength is not enough. So when they come at me, I break. I lose my peace. I let go of my love, right? I stop respecting you. I've been there, so I know all this, right? I've done that myself. But slowly, slowly, when my inner strength increases, then I don't mind whether you love me or you don't love me. My love is not based on whether you do something or you don't do something. My love is there because I love to love. But again, to come to that state, it needs some practice, right? It's not like today you heard and tomorrow you will be like that. Yeah, say.
Yes.
There are times that awareness of being loving, and something happens, or you notice something that somebody might have did that it wasn't a kind way to be, or
Yeah,
it triggered you a little bit,
yeah.
and then I don't have loving thoughts sometimes.
You don't have what?
Loving thoughts in my
Yeah,
head at that
yeah.
point.
I
In my
completely
heart.
resonate with that. Completely. I mean, you're being very good, you're starting your day very joyfully, and then somebody comes and says something to you which has nothing to do with you. What happens? Your mood is off. You become upset. You're not able to now have that love for this person, right? But this is where work is needed. This is where knowledge comes into picture. This is where yoga comes into picture. This is where your inner strength comes into picture. It's a very good mirror. You got to know now that, okay, I'm not able to handle this properly. So maybe I have to increase my quality of love a little bit more. I have to tune, fine, you know, do a little bit of work to increase this strength a little bit more. So when situations come, when challenge, okay, this I heard again, I've heard this from my big brother. And he was sharing that in this book called Open Tennis or something, it was about tennis. And the opponent is now going to throw or serve. So the natural thought I might have is that when they serve, it should go in the net. Right? Normal, no? This is normal. But the author of the book was suggesting that why don't you think that when he serves, he does it his best serve, and I get the opportunity to serve it back in the best way and make a point and win the game. This can also be a thought, no? Right. Yeah. No, but it's normal for your opponent to think like, but that's where our power comes, where we start thinking a little bit differently.
Thank you for saying that because you said something about responding properly.
Yeah.
The awareness that I am not responding properly at
Yeah.
this point, what I have to bring it up a notch or two
Yes.
and get above it.
Yes. Yes. Get above it. Very nice.
Very nice. Any other?
We will
other?
take this last one, and then I would like to finish with 2-3 minutes of yoga.
Did you raise your-
You know, I'm thinking of the person that has an oppositional personality.
Mhm.
They can't help themselves. They need to be oppositional. And that is something I think some people are born with.
That is something.
That can you be born with?
Mm.
It's euthenics. Euthenics is the environment. Eugenics is what you're born with. And there are personalities and dispositions that people have, and they almost can't help themselves with this opposition stuff.
Mm.
So I think if you can become a little bit aware of the person that you're in contact with that has this kind of a personality,
Mm.
that is something that I would use the word knowledge
Mhm.
and I would use the word awareness.
Mhm.
But there are people, children, I see it.
Yeah, yeah,
They,
yeah.
they can't help themselves.
Yeah. And it's okay. It's not about them. It's about me. Somebody can be rude with me. It's okay. It's their choice. Again, it's their choice. I cannot control their choice. But my response can still be my response based on who I want to be. And that's where I have to work. Right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was lovely to be with all of you. Let's do a little meditation. Yeah, is that okay? 2-3 minutes, we will remember. So I invite you to sit straight. And very gently bring your focus to the inner self. Withdraw your senses from the outside world. And just for a few minutes, forget your responsibilities, forget your role, forget what you have to do next. But just be in this present moment. It is this moment where I have the opportunity to bring about change that I want to. And as I begin to look into my inner world, I realize that at the core of my being is my inner strength, my awareness of who I am. I have come to this understanding that I am a very beautiful, sentient, living energy. eternally sparkling, eternally radiating light of peace, light of love. And it is my mind that is my best friend, for it helps me to create thoughts that are benevolent in nature. I nurture my mind through the knowledge that I receive, so my mind can continue to think in a positive way, so that my mind thinks thoughts that are auspicious in nature, so that my mind constantly thinks pure, powerful thoughts. And as these thoughts then travel to the intellect, the faculty that analyzes the thoughts, understands, comprehends, reasons, discerns, and decides. If I have only positive and pure and powerful thoughts, then the intellect doesn't have to make much effort. My intellect is naturally able to decide and make right choices. And every time I make a right choice and I manifest that thought in a practical way by using my senses, by using my body, I perform that action, then it becomes a recording within the soul. It becomes a habit, a nature, a sanskar. Understanding the dynamics of the consciousness, realizing how my mind, intellect, and sanskars work together to create a beautiful experience for me. In this moment, I make a determined thought to pay attention to the well-being of my mind, intellect, and sanskars. I will take care of my inner world, which will naturally impact my outer world. And my life will blossom like a lotus flower, living in the muddy water, yet being most beautiful. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Om Shanti.
Shanti, thank you so much, Sister Tina. Thank you. That was lovely. And I'm glad you brought up the lotus, because sometimes when in a pinch, that also is a very good image, if you will, to maintain that white, pure, fragrant flower among the muck and the mud. So thank you for that. Just to give you just a few announcements next week. Hopefully, we will see you again next week, and Zoomers as well, as we continue with Soul Power this month. next week, we're going to using that spiritual power. We touched a little bit about the strength. Now we're going to go, how do we use this power? And that will be next week. Hope we'll see you. And if anyone is interested, we have meditation classes coming up starting September 8th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:30, and they are both English and also available in Hindi. And if you're interested, see me or Louise in the back, and please stay for your Toli and blessing, and have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Om Shanti.